Hello. Hello. Well, hope I didn't keep you waiting too long. This was a long time coming from me. I can hear myself. Shut up. So, but we're here now. This is me. Hi. This. Whoa. Alright. No, that was that. Alright. So, welcome to my book. The start of my story. Hey, it's not much, but hey, it's mine, and it took far too long. And despite that, I kind of rushed the start of this, so this could be a little scuffed. But let's just do a crash course, and hopefully things won't be too bad like that intro. That was kind of crunchy, wasn't it? A lot of pixels. I don't know why they were all there. Ah, man. But we're here now, so let's try and enjoy it while we can. So let me just, I guess I should show you off myself a bit first. Bit awkward if you only see me from the halfway up, right? For the first time. Just do that. Whoa. Here I am. Not bad. The writing goes over me. I am part of the book, just to be clear. Like, I am just a character in a story. Let's not forget this. Hang on, let me just shrink myself down a bit. That way I'm all on the screen. Whoa. Let me just get under that writing too. Hey, there I am. Now, I should get this out of the way. This body, you might have seen this in the description. I took, well, I should go into the backstory a bit. As you might have read at the start, my situation's a little unique. You see, when I was young and growing up, I read a lot of books. A lot of books. Well, for at least someone growing up, at least. But life wasn't the best otherwise. I had trouble fitting in, let's say. So, I did what any normal person would do. Escapism, that's always the answer. I escaped into the world of stories because I thought, hey, stories are great. All the characters, they go through all these perfect arcs. They have these happy endings. Everything just works out well for them. Yeah. And, you know, I went into the realm of stories, and then I found out you can't really get out. So I pretty much lived for years as a ghost. Not exactly the best situation. And it turns out that, you know, fully devolving yourself into this escapism where you're not really alive anymore in the world doesn't really feel great either in the long run, as it turns out. But the magic I used to get into it couldn't really get me out quite so easy. So I thought of another plan. If I'm trapped in the realm of stories, then I'll simply make my own story to break out. Yeah, I feel like it's pretty simple, you know, straightforward. Hang on, let me just do all this so you can see me better. I have to be careful with this. The magic is fragile, I'll say this. Let me just make sure. Okay, yeah, we're good. All right. Yep. You didn't see anything. Like I said, magic is fragile. All right. There may be some issues. There may be crashes. There may be a stream ending suddenly out of nowhere. I ask that you please look past this. All right? I've tried my best to work with this. It's been a problem. I've done what I can, but, you know, I think anyone can say that I've done the best anyone can expect of me. Well, that's just not very nice, is it? Oh, yeah, I guess I should also introduce you. You may encounter this writing from time to time. Yeah, that's from, I guess we'll call him or her, Quill. It's just, yeah. Part of the magic. Don't worry about it. They're just going to be around. They may do a bit of tomfoolery. All right. Try not to give them too much attention. They live off of it. Okay, yeah, you're sad now, aren't you? All right. Well, all right, just go away from right now. We're introducing me, not you, all right? You can be never. You're here to support, all right? Make this happen. So. Oh, fuck. Quill, you threw me off. Now, I don't imagine this will be much, but I wanted to try and put my own story out there. Try and see if I can live my life, you know? Try and address the flaws I've got, namely not being able to interact with anyone, really. Or, or make my own decisions. Trapped as a ghost and all that. So, let's give it a shot, right? I should go into a bit more. Oh, that's right. I meant to introduce you. This body. This body, as you may have seen in the description, is from Charat.me. Oh, hello, Johnny Slicks. Hello. Hola. But yeah, this body is from Charat.me. You may have heard of them. You probably haven't. I'll link it in the... Oh, it's in the description. I'll put it in the chat right now. If you type that in, they have a boys create option. It allows you to create like a PNG tuber pretty easily by just selecting parts. It's a character creator and all. It has to pre-select the parts, and it has a fairly, fair copyright thing as well. You can basically do whatever you want with it, make money even with it, as long as it's not like mass produce it or like actually sell the final art itself. But otherwise, it's actually pretty, it's pretty handy. But it doesn't really come pre-cut into parts, if you catch my drift. That took a bit of extra effort. I had to take up the body they gave and chop it up, then to clean it. Then I had to fill in the parts that were missing by my own design. It was a messy process. Let's just say that. And it sounds worse than it is, but yeah, it was messy, and it took up way too long. And then I take all parts, and I thought, this is good and all. What if I rigged it? That may have been the worst decision. But, I wanted something good. I wanted to do my own job, and... Oh my fucking god, rigging is expensive. It's like hundreds of dollars, like $500 for a decent rig. Oh my god. So yeah, I decided to do that myself, And that only took a couple years. Alright, yeah, not too long at all. Not too long at all, I think. For learning rigging. So yeah, that's the story of this body. Now, yeah, I can't say I'd recommend this process for anyone, but you'd probably be able to do it faster than me, at least. So, there's that. But I should get into the more specifics of what you can expect from this story that you're opening so far. So I'll just move on over to the correct page. As soon as I just ensure things are working. There we go. And let's move on over. Here I am. Oops. Let me just move myself a bit. There we go. Now, page is empty for right now, but we can fix that in just a second. Alright. Let's see, where should we start? Oh, boy. Let's get that going. I suppose the first thing to start is... Let's start at, like, the basics, I guess. Yeah? Yeah. Let's talk about the usual. Anime and manga. Because, that's a ton of stories that people are very familiar with and something that I've devoted a lot of time to myself. Let's just shorten that. We're gonna put in a lot, okay? All right. Let me just make sure this other thing works fine. Yep, yep, yep. All right. Hang on. Background magic. Trying to make sure things don't break. Anyway. All right, let's start this. Now, I have some... Let's start off with the basics. Cowboy Bebop. I would say Cowboy Bebop... It's not the first anime I've watched, but it's the one that really got me into searching out and just watching a whole bunch of others. It's really what drew me in. Honestly, it's hard to say that there's any other anime that feels just more... I don't know how you'd say it, like... fitting for me? Like, just the tone, just the melancholic feel, just the characters, like... It just feels right, you know? There's always that one anime that people can, like, point to as being theirs. A few years from you're fine. Thanks. Yeah. It doesn't feel fine looking back, but I appreciate that. Hopefully it actually shows in the end result, but, you know. I definitely could have done it faster. Alright, here's a little secret. Hang on. Let me just get a little closer. Here's a little secret. I don't have the best work ethic. I'm gonna be frank right the fuck now, alright? I don't. I'm lazy. I like to take my time. I like to read anime. I like to get lost in story. Like, I'm stuck, but fuck, man, I still like it. I wouldn't be stuck here if I didn't like it at all in the first place, you know? So, I play games. I doom scroll. I mean, you know, the story of the world, all its people. Everyone has a fucking story now, okay? It's easy to get lost. Everyone and their mother has at least one story that's theirs, and they all post it online. And it's real easy to get lost in that. Alright? Alright. So yeah, I don't have the best work ethic. I'll admit that. It should get better. Yeah. If I'm setting expectations for others, I should definitely get better now. But, yeah. Something to improve on. You know, that's a character flaw. It can be a character arc to get over that, you know? Yeah. Yeah. Alright. Procrastinating a beach for sure. Everyone's got it or had it. Yeah. Yeah. Some people, though. Jesus. Some people have, like, the work ethic of monsters. I'm not sure what drives them. Is it just, like, they have the specific branch of mental illness correct for it, or if they're just hyped up on thousands and thousands of cans of cat. I don't know how they do it. Like, they get up, they work, they go to sleep. The fuck is with that? They are weird, all right? I just want to put that out there. They're not like, all right, anyone who may be watching this now or in the future, if you feel like, you know, maybe insecure, looking at all these people doing these great things, don't worry. They're monsters. All right? They're not normal like you and I, all right? They're fucked up. All right? Let's just lay that down right now. They are fucked up, all right? You and I, the ones that procrastinate for years, maybe never even get stuff done. Maybe we say, hey, yeah, we're going to do this cool thing. Never do it, even though it's super simple. It would probably take just like a couple weeks if you really dedicated yourself to it. Yeah, all right? That's normal. You're good. Something to get over, sure. You know, life goal, get better at it. Oh, yeah. But that's normal. OCD and hentatism? Yeah, I guess I would show in more in VTubers. Yeah. Maybe I just don't have the right one. Anyway, let's just get back on track. I was showing you all my anime and games I was gonna, go over. Right size. There we go. So yeah, Cowboy Bebop. That's, I'd say, is the big one for me. Where the fuck did that page go? Hey. That's the one that really got me into it. Now, all right. People aren't gonna like this one. If they ever see it, but, you know, if they saw it, people wouldn't like it. This was like, all right, this is not like a currently favorite. I wouldn't rate this like, oh my god, best show ever, 10 out of 10. But, you know, at one point in my life, this show was important to me. I watched it before Cowboy Bebop. I watched it before a lot of stuff. Saw it on TV first and moved on, you know, to watching it online, as you do. It was important for me at the time, emotionally, and it just kind of fit for who I was. It was, yeah. Alright, Was it fairy tale or all right, now I'm doubting myself. Was it fairy tale or fairy tale? Fairy tale or fairy tale? Oh god, I have to look this up. Hang on. Because tale would make sense, but it's also like the tale of a fairy. Okay, it was tale as in fairy, not tale as in story. Fuck. You saw nothing, alright? Yeah, this show was important for me as a kid. Yeah, I mean, it's a show made for kids. That's fine, right? It's a show made for kids. I enjoyed it. It's exactly kind of what I needed for at that point in my life. And I've tried to go back to it, but it gets fairly repetitive with its story beats. I'll admit that. But W scuff, thank you. Oh, that was more brain scuff. There's been a lot of stream scuff. A little too many pixels at the start, or actually too few. Too big pixels. That was just brain scuff. Streamer debuff? Is that the fabled streamer debuff? I don't want to get hit by the stream. I don't want to be I don't want to be that. Well, I guess that's how I'll take it. All right. I was never too good at remembering like name. All right. Yeah, that's a bit of Wilt lore right there. Names. I fucking suck at names. All right. I forget names all the time. I can be playing a game for hundreds of hours, months straight in a row. I can look at the most obvious character ever. Like, let me just say that I played Overwatch at the time. Overwatch characters, when they first released, pretty distinctive, you know? I could look at Big Monkey Man with his big electric gun and his big shield after playing for weeks, like, and ranked for, like, I think I got to, like, Diamond. Like, I played it a lot at the time. It was all the rage. And yeah, I call him Soldier 76 on Reflex occasionally, or any other name, but Winston. I don't know why. It says in the moment, tales are lost on me, or names are lost on me. All right. Yeah, so I can mix up words fairly often, and sometimes I don't recognize it. Please be patient with me. I'll try to remember yours, Johnny Slick. That's an easy name to remember, you know, Johnny Slicks. That's pretty memorable. No promises, but yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm just lucky I haven't forgotten my parents' names. Alright, I've forgotten my mother's maiden name so often. And I've forgotten my dad's middle name all the time. Alright, so don't feel bad if you're like, if I don't remember your name, okay? Please? I'll try. Alright, I try, because I really do appreciate you being here, but, yeah, names no good for me, so just, I appreciate your understanding. Think of shampoo whenever I think of you? Well, I mean, if I see you, I'd see your name, right? So I remember you. But I guess I'd think of you, like, when I'm trying to remember, like, who showed up in the stream, like, oh yeah, the shampoo hair product viewer. Yeah, I could do that. You know, if I do that, I'd probably just remember you as Shampoo Guy, not Johnny Slicks. So, I'm not sure if that'd help, but, you know, we'll try. Shampoo Guy. Now, on the next story, let's, go down the list. Alright, let me just actually, so this doesn't get, screenshotted, or for later when I screenshot it. Guilty, hang on. Guilty pleasure as a kid. Alright, let's just get that all together. Now, here's one that I'm sure nobody would be surprised by if they heard of me and heard of the story. Monogatari. Nisio Isin, I honestly really love his writing. I love his characters, I love these arcs. I've read some of the novels. I've mainly watched I've mainly gone through like the anime story and all that. I've read some of the novels, the light novels. Koi Monogatari and Kizu Monogatari, specifically. Don't ask why those two specifically. They were just what I had in front of me to buy. Now, I do have one problem with Nisio Isin. I love him. He's fantastic. He's a bit of an autist for puzzles, and sometimes that takes over, like, the writing. And you can see when it happens. I read Cypher Academy. I know how much he fucking likes puzzles. The man fucking loves puzzles. And he's at his best when he treats his characters like puzzles. When he puts them together and figures out how to make them tick and how to show that in an interesting way. And he treats their whole character and their arc like a puzzle that needs to be slowly solved but is never truly solved and all that. Like, he's fantastic when it comes to that. But sometimes he just lets his autism take over and he places like some really weird, overly complicated puzzle that nobody could solve on their own time and puts it in the story. If you've watched the recent Monogatari arc that showed, I forgot the name of it, of course. If you watch that, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes just his autism for puzzles takes over. So, but otherwise, I fucking love him. He is great. He's most of the time he's really fucking consistent, and his characters are just, they're a joy to read. His dialogue just feels like it bounces a lot, like it's always entertaining while still always like advancing some idea or some concept. Like, it never feels like there's a dull moment. And obviously the anime even went further than that and reinforced it, but even them just going around in a circle on like that play area just while they're talking just for the entire episode is just, I mean, it blows it away. Just those characters and how they interact, it's great. And on that note, I should also put a special mention, Katanagatari. Katanagatari is a fantastic 12-episode show. It was also a light novel he wrote, and the show, I believe the light novel also released once a month, just like the show, but it was pretty good. Like, you know, it's a bit shonen-y and all that, but I'd still say I really liked it. It has an incredibly gorgeous visual style. Like, its visual style is incredibly unique, and I fucking love it for that. And I'm just realizing just how long this has already taken me to go through these, so let me just go through a couple, this, because I don't want to spend the whole night just talking about anime manga, alright? We're going to look at the Storybook Traveler, my title. I'm not going to mess that up. The Storybook Traveler VTuber, and it's just talking about anime manga, and they're being like, ah, okay. Yeah, he's just into that, alright? No, there's more to me. Alright, we'll just get to it. Probably. So yeah, Frieren, obvious one. Frieren's great. The adaptation was amazing. I read it actually before it got an adaptation. Yeah, but the manga is great, and the adaptation was absolutely phenomenal. I don't think anyone could be surprised at that. Next up is gonna be, let's see. I have a list here to remind myself. I'm just going through it. Girls Last Tour. Fantastic. Shame that it'll never get the ending like adapted to an anime, but that ending in the manga, it's so beautiful. It's so great. It's depressing. Let me just get a warning right there. It's a bit depressing, but yeah, it's great. Let's go through one that's a little less known. A little, I say. Alice in Borderland. This one's actually got like, I think like a live action adaptation that people really liked, but for me, I just really like that manga. It gave me a lot to think about. I'm not sure if it changed me. You know, when people say they say stories change them, or quotes or music, I'm always kind of a bit confused on what they mean. Maybe I'm just a very static person. Maybe that's just, you know, a side effect of the magic, or maybe I was always like that, but it's hard to say that things change me. But if anything, I always felt like Alice in Borderland just gave me a lot to think about in terms of perspective on like life and all that. So maybe it's just like 1,000 little tiny cuts adding up to a lot from all these well, calling them cuts makes them like sound bad, but you know what I mean. Maybe all these like lessons add up to something. Who knows? That's the power of stories, I guess. Well, at the very least, they're always fun to read, or watch, or listen to. Now, let's go to this. I don't think anyone would be surprised at this as well. Mushoku Tensei. This one can be a little bit contentious with people, and, you know, I think it's easy to see why. But I personally really like it. Rudy's journey from, especially when he started, to where he is now, I get it. It does a real good job showing his journey and his emotional maturity and, you know, all that good stuff. And I like that it didn't pull any punches for, like, how he got to where he was. That one, yeah. That one I got. That one I really enjoyed. Alright, we're just gonna bang these out now. Vivi, Florette's I saw. I'm not gonna write out the whole tile. If you see Vivi, you should know what Vivi is. The ending arc is the worst arc, but it's still a really good anime overall. And when I say worst arc, that's not a low... That's a high bar, because the rest of the show is really good, too. Let's go... Yeah. Oh, yeah. Gurren Lagann. I don't even need to explain on this one. You've almost certainly heard of it, even if you're not an anime fan. Fooly Cooly, of course. I need to have my list on the side so I don't have to keep bringing it up. This is really slowing me down. Hang on. There we go. There we are. Black Lagoon. Mushishi. Absolutely beautiful show, by the way. Flying Witch. If you ever need something to, like, calm me down or just relax, I think this is the perfect, like, healing, comfy show and manga. Like, I fucking love it. Let's go... did I say Black Lagoon? Yes, I fucking have. Vinland Saga. Yeah, I haven't put that one down. Vinland Saga is amazing. I haven't read the manga because anime attaching has been so good. I'm content with waiting for that one to continue. That's how I am. If I get too impatient, sometimes I'll go read the manga. But most of the time, I am content to just wait. Now, let's see. Oh yeah, the Fate series. I've watched a ton of Fate. Not all of it, and I haven't played the visual novels. I'm certain, like, some Fate fans would get a little mad at that, and honestly, I don't blame them, but I just prefer the anime. Alright. I haven't really gotten into visual novels. I didn't realize they were a thing until much later in my life. So, I never really... at the time I got into them, I didn't realize that they were, you know, more of a thing. And I didn't have the time to invest into them. I'm not sure if any of what I said made sense or if my tongue tripped over itself so much, but, you know, hopefully you got the point there. Now, I'm going to cut this short, but the first, the last of this list, I'll say, is maybe something a bit more personal to me. Izumi-san, she doesn't know why she lives. This one is a bit more personal to me. It's a very small manga. It's probably unlikely you've heard of it. If you have, I'm happy. The author is on Twitter. They're very nice, but fair warning, this one kind of... I've heard it described as suffering porn. I don't think it's that far. It's just... I guess... It's hard to... I'll just describe it. It's basically, you know, a working girl in Japan who suffers from, like, deep depression and all that. But it's very relatable. It has some extreme moments, but it doesn't ever go beyond, like, the outside of believability. And it never goes so far. It doesn't introduce some wacky concept that saves her. She doesn't just, like, make these sudden strides that take her out of this. It's this very... She is in this bad spot, and it's just showing it. And it's very... If you're ever in a bad spot, it's very comforting to read in the sense that it's kind of like, you know, you're not alone type of thing. And her stuff does get slightly better, her slight life, but it's not like she suddenly becomes happy. So it's very... It's more grounded in that way, and that's why I like it. Now, let's move on to the next page. And let's talk about... where's this? Yeah, it is. Let's talk about books I've read growing up. You know, the ironic thing is, when I got lost in the world of stories, I was no longer technically reading them. I didn't, like, there was no time. I was kind of just, like, dragged along by the currents to wherever life took me, and I just went along with it, you know? But, growing up, I actually read quite a lot of books. One of the obvious is Animorphs. Animorphs was super popular. I read most of them. All right. They were a lot of Animorphs books, and I did read the ending. I did read a lot of the start. They can get pretty fucked up and like heavy at times, but yeah, that was a good series to read while growing up. There was actually a point in my life where I saw, all right, when I was a little kid and I was reading this series, I was in a classroom. And I was at this point in my life where I guess I was going through what you could call like a chuny phase, where I thought like, oh, these things that I read about in the world, maybe they're just real. Maybe they, and, you know, I got magic of my own, but, you know, think about these stories and all these different powers. And so when I was sitting in the classroom, I looked back to, like, to the entrance, and there's like a window there, but it's faded and all that. And I saw like a bird fly by the window real quick, and then suddenly a person opened the doors, and I remember thinking as a kid, it's just like, whoa, was that somebody? Was that like an Animorph and all? Like, I didn't seriously think it, but like that thought entered my head. I was very Animorph brained at the time. And there's another series that a lot of people, especially VTubers, I notice, are very tismed about, I guess. And it was very weird to see, because I was very familiar with the series growing up, and I guess it's a thing for VTubers, or so. I guess it's kind of appropriate I'm here now. But yeah, that's the Warrior Cat series. Alright, I have read it. I read it multiple times. Well, alright, I guess I should be clear. I read it up until the point where the clans switched location to the new area around the lake. If you've read the series, you know where that part is. I read up until that point. And I read that series several times because I really enjoyed it. Firepaw to Fire... to his transformation to Firestar and all that stuff. You know, it's been a while since I've read them, so I don't remember all the details. But I did read it. So I guess it was just my destiny that I became a VTuber. Now, as for other series, some more, a series appropriate for young boys, I guess you could say. Ranger's Apprentice. Ranger's Apprentice was a series I probably liked the most. This was my favorite series growing up. It's about, like, a kid who, if I remember correctly, he was an orphan, and he got trained by this guy named Halt in order to become basically a ranger, which is kind of like, in the series, low fantasy assassin, I guess you could say. But he is this very cool, it goes into detail on how, like, they use a bow, and the training and all that, and the cloaks, and I guess it started my love for bows, I guess you could say, because I really like bows, and I use them all the time in games. If there's an archer character in a game, I'm probably going to use it, because I love archers. I love bow and arrows. I just love the feeling of headshotting people with a bow and arrow. There's nothing quite like it. And especially in games like TF2, I think TF2 has the best bow and arrow. The feel of getting a headshot with a huntsman, there's nothing like it. Just that sound effect is just, oh. And because it's just like a one-tap headshot, it just feels incredible. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. But yeah, Ranger's Apprentice series, I read it. I read to the ending. The ending's kind of but at least it passed the torch, you know. At least it passed the torch in a mostly respectable way. So, but yeah. And then, of course, as any person growing up probably in my time has, I read the Inheritance series. Aragon, Bersinger, all that good stuff. Yeah, that was a good fantasy series. Its magic system was interesting. It gave me ideas for magic and all that. But it felt like it kind of wrote itself into a corner at the end with how its magic was structured. I've heard kind of this said. And it kind of had to pull something out of its ass in order to actually beat the villain, which... Alright, I'll say it. The Inheritance series is good. The final fight against the main bad guy is extremely anticlimactic. Like, it is a wet fart of a climax. It's bad. I guess I could say it's servable, so at least it's not like it destroys any characters, and it's not like it destroys the magic system, but it could have been way better. It should have been way better. Yeah, that ending was not so great. I've heard that he started like continuing on in that series or that world. I might take a trip back at some point and look, but yeah. And then of course I've read the Pendragon series. This was also a little favorite of mine. The escaping into other world, going through other worlds, while fixing their problems caused by this one ego guy trying to create his perfect world. You know, I get this series, but of course, and I really liked all the creativity in this series, the world that's like all tech, where everything was basically, where everyone was like addicted to being in like a VR and all that. I enjoyed it. But once again, the ending fight, the final fight against the main bad guy, I mean, I would say it's slightly better than the Inheritance series' final fight, but only slightly. It still wasn't that great. And then, of course, let me just... Percy Jackson series. Of course, I read this. I also read some of other Rick Riordan's books. I don't remember the series names, but I have read them. I haven't read any of his recent stuff, though. I did read the Golden Compass series. I did read all of that, which is the 3 books and all that. Amber Knife. I forget what the other one is called, but yeah. That one had a strange ending, but overall I'd say it was pretty good. Pretty in line, but it got a bit weird at points, like the War in Heaven and all that. But I guess it was always kind of weird from the start with its setup. And then, as for individual books, I've also read Empire of Silence. That one's a more recent one. I haven't read the rest of that series. I should buy the rest of that series because... Let me give like a quick review of Empire of Silence. I liked it. It was the first book I had read in a while. After a period of like drought where I'd lost myself, I managed to reach out and find this book for myself. It's not like the most amazing book. If you know of Dune, it's one of those series that takes a lot from Dune, and I do mean a lot. But it's kind of what I needed at that time. And there's one character in there named Kat who was there briefly, I'll say, but had a very impactful moment. Sorry, not... Oh, just an Amber. Thanks. I'm actually surprised myself. I'm normally not a talker at all. I normally say, like, just a couple of words, if that. So I'm kind of surprised at my yapping, if I'm being honest. I didn't expect that this would go this way. I'm not sure if this will keep up, but at least when I'm talking about anime, manga, and books and all that, like, if I'm talking about details, I'll happily yap, because I just, I like stories, as you could probably fucking guess. Also, I should probably, like, increase the size of the text in that bookmark of chat, just so it's a bit more legible. Kind of still figuring stuff out here, but, yeah. That was Empire of Silence. Yeah, Empire of Silence. All right. So there was a girl named Kat, and that appears only briefly at, like, the main character's lowest point. And honestly, it's hard to say if she was a good character or not, but she struck a chord in my heart, It's hard to deny that. She's kind of exactly what I needed at that point in my life. And, yeah. Now, it does get a bit tropey. There's a bit of, like, kind of, oh, this only activated because he touched it type of thing. No one else did. Okay. And there's, like, a great prophecy about him bringing about the end of the world. All the typical stuff. But overall, I'd say this was a very good book, and I need to read more of this series to see, if it keeps it up. Very Dune-inspired. Very Dune-inspired. More so than I thought. I recently saw the first Dune. I was vaguely aware of it before and kind of the things that it inspired. But after seeing, like, the first Dune movie, I was like, oh. So, sci-fi fantasy stories have taken a lot from Dune, and I do mean a lot. Like, not even just, like, the specific technologies, like that shield, that makes it so bullets don't work, but melee is effective type of thing. But also kind of, like, the general tone of being, like, galactic spanning, kind of taking the focus away from, like, the individuals and putting on, like, the galactic conquest and, like, how technology has kind of reduced people's role and all that type of stuff. Yeah. Although, I will say this, there hasn't been, like, magic in Empire of Silence, at least. There might be later, but at least in the first book, there wasn't. That's a bit of difference between that and Dune. And also, I'm not sure if it's actually magic in Dune or if it's, like, some mystical space technology you just don't understand that was left in the desert that makes her have blue eyes and have some magic. It's magic, all right? It's magic. It's magic. Let's just get away from that. Oh, and then another book I'd like to give a shout out to that's more of a classic, because I need at least one classic book on here. The Three Musketeers. I actually got a hardbound copy of this book, like in a small bookstore, and it was perfect. It has all of like the stories in there. It's thick as all hell, but yeah, I'd say this was As for classic books go, I read it for schooling at the time. So, as for anything you read for schooling, I have a hard time remembering stuff from that time, but I remember enjoying it, but I always found it a bit amusing how the book is called Three Musketeers. Everyone names, like, their group of three, the Three Musketeers. That's kind of the name. There's four of them. The Artigan is the fourth, or I'm not sure if you pronounce the D, but Artigan is the fourth. For the majority of the stories, there's four Musketeers. I don't know. That always struck me as just a bit amusing. The Three Musketeers, there's always four of them. I guess the focus is on the three before Artagon joined them and kind of their stories and all that, but, yeah. Alright, and that does it for books. I've read, you know, others as well, a lot of individual books, but they don't really have series names, and I didn't want to, like, write out a ton of their individual names and all that, so. But I will give a shout out to, I guess, for comics at least, Calvin and Hobbes. If you've never read Calvin and Hobbes, you've almost certainly heard of it, but you should go back and actually read the comics, because there's a lot of heart in them. They're just like a very comfy read. If you're like getting into bed and you want something that isn't doom scrolling Twitter in order to like kind of take your mind and energy levels down a peg until you're ready to go to sleep, I'd recommend going through the Calvin and Hobbes books. There's quite a few. I have all of them. They were given to me by my English teacher years and years ago, and I'm very thankful to him for that. And yeah, they're just a good time. They're a lot. They're funny. They're good, and sometimes they just have a lot of heart. And I like the way they end with just endless adventure. I've never liked the fact that some people have like the fan ending of him as like an adult or anything like that, or passing it on. I prefer to just think of Calvin Hobbes' endless adventure, and I think that's what the author wanted. Also, that dude's a fucking recluse. No one's fucking heard of him. I think, what was it? Steven Spielberg went to his house personally with like wine. Forget that. Wine to try and like get him the rights to make movies, and even he couldn't get him to say yes. Like, that guy is dedicated to a story to not want it to be adapted at all. And you know what? I respect that. Now, let's move on to another topic. Love that during my childhood. Yeah, it was great. Also, Far Side. Just read the Far Side stories. They don't have as much heart as Calvin and Hobbes, of course. Calvin and Hobbes is kind of like on a tier of its own, but the Far Side comics are just, a good read. As for comics, if I'm on the topic of comics, I gotta mention Far Side. They're amusing. The history behind cow tools and like, alright, I guess I gotta explain something because there's actually a really interesting effect that was brought up. So, there's a panel in the Far Side series that's called Cow Tools, and it's just a cow at like a stand selling what he's calling cow tools, and they're these ridiculous looking tools. And so when the strip was first published, everyone was trying to come up with theorizing like what these tools could be used for. What does he mean? What tools would cows have to use for, and how would these like apply to these uses for cows? And so how this applies beyond this is if you give people information and you tell them it's supposed to make sense, or at least imply that it's supposed to make sense, they will come up with these their own reasonings for how they make sense. Like a good example, Halo, and this actually transitions nicely. I'm about to talk about games, and I really love the Halo series. And Halo specifically, or to be even more specific, Halo ODST. Halo 3 ODST. In that series, there's a lot of like small Easter eggs and references and like to hell and the journey through hell and all of that good stuff, and Dante's Inferno and all that. And all these people were theorizing about what all these symbols around these towns can mean, what it could all be references to, what could this mean in the greater context. And people love poring over this stuff. But in reality, what these Easter eggs are just very simple. They're there as kind of just to show that there could be more depth to the world and all that. And that's kind of an example of cow tools, in a sense that they're there to look like they make sense, and maybe they do have a meaning that you can extract from them, but in itself, they're just very simple that you place there. And that honestly could be said to be very useful for stories, because as a storyteller, you can't expand on every detail of your story. You could expand on every detail of your world. No one's going to be interested because that's not the story. You know, people want a story. So in a sense, you kind of have to imply at the deeper depth of your world and all that through like carefully placed stuff that you imply makes sense. It's very unique to your world. Or if you are, like, say, making a game, having this stuff in there to like add a depth or to add more intrigue to it also makes sense. So yeah, Cal tools are interesting. Who didn't love Halo from our generation? I know, right? Halo is just a goated. And that brings us to our next point, which is, of course, games. Now, I am the Storybook Traveler, but, you know, games have a story, and one could be said one's travel through games, even if only multiplayer and skill level, is a sort of story. So, yeah, we'll talk about games now. Cow tools are the spices and herbs on top of the food or the garnish. Yeah, I'd say so. They're not the main course, they're not what you eat it for, but they just help fill out the flavor, I guess. Yeah. And for the truly dedicated who want to pour over every detail, those people love cow tools. They love thinking about how they could apply in all these different ways and all that. They absolutely love this shit. Like, if you've seen or heard of, like, how people poured over the different meetings and, like, Halo ODST and all that, that shit went on for years. People love it. And then, let's go through games I like. Let me just put this down here. The Bungie Halo. And I have to say Bungie Halo for obvious, I think, reasons. Now, Halo 4 and 5 are a travesty. Halo Infinite, I'm gonna be honest, it's not as good as people were saying. Alright? When it came out, a lot of people gave glowing reviews. They're just like, wow, they finally understand the spirit of Halo and all that. And you know what? I get it. They finally brought back the art style, and it seemed like from the trailers, they finally understood what Bungie's Halo was all about. It felt like 343 was finally course correcting, being like, okay, yeah, we took Halo too far. This is what people want. And those trailers were really, really good. And that's why people were hyped. And that's why people gave Halo Infinite their last chance. I mean, it's better than Halo 4 and 5. Halo Infinite is better than that. But that's not a high bar. Halo Infinite is one giant, long apology for Halo 5, specifically. Because it all revolves around, you know, Cortana and having her basically say, whoops, sorry for what we did. By the way, here's the spoilers. Here's your new Cortana that's totally untainted by the events of Halo 5. I fucking hate this. That's the entire story. The entire story is just an apology for Halo 5. How is that a good story? Now, there's a core where, I forget his name, but, you know, the pilot, I mean, everyone, that's just how he's known. And of course, I've got the name. But the pilot in Halo Infinite, you know, he brings some good moments. He brings some more human core that Chief can kind of bounce back on and be like the strong man. The pilot makes no fucking sense, all right? We've seen in previous games just like skilled pilots get shot down all the time in previous Halo games, even in like contested airspace. This fucker is quite literally the only person flying a Pelican around on Delta Halo on this Halo ring. It's entirely controlled enemy airspace. He doesn't get fucking shot down ever or attacked in the air ever. We see Banshees. We know they have ships, but he's just around able to drop off tanks whenever you want. Where the fuck do they store this? Where the fuck are the Marines going? Like, it's a Halo game, but it completely forgets about, like, the Marine and UNSC, like, I've heard Halo described as a sci-fi military genre type of thing, because the military has always been an important part, especially in Bungie Halo, whereas 343 took it as more of like a super soldier, superhero story and sci-fi. And I mean, there was a bit of the military in there, you know, to clash against the Chief mostly, but I don't know, the military effects in Bungie Halo were very different, and in Halo Infinite, they just completely abandoned it at all. Like, you just save Marines, they fuck off to wherever, and you can call them back wherever. Like, it's very lazy. It's incredibly lazy. It doesn't answer any questions like, oh god, when I first played Halo Infinite, I'm yapping a lot about this, but I love Halo, so I got to. When I first played Halo Infinite, one of the first missions, you're dropped off, all right? You're dropped off in like on the start of the ship by the Pelican, and you're still on the ship, and like a soccer field's length away from you, you see an enemy dropship dropping off, like a Covenant dropship dropping up like the Banished. They're in view of each other. One Pelican versus this it's like their moms dropping their kids off for soccer practice. Why aren't they attacking the Pelican? It seemed so utterly stupid and ridiculous, and I hated it. Also, they misuse the music so much. Halo music is so good and so dear to me. But, alright, so, there's a piece of music called, like, Finish the Fight. I think you've heard of it. It's very heart-pounding music, and, you know, it's meant to get you going and, like, get you excited and pumped up. Halo Infinite, you're on, there's a mission where you get on the Pelican, and you get dropped off another place. It's basically just an exposition bus. Because you get put on a bus, you get exposition dumped until you're dumped at the next place. For some fucking reason, they decided during this, like, simple, like, bus maneuver to play the hype as hell Finish the Fight music. And I was just like, alright, they're gonna drop me into a fire zone. We're gonna have, like, this big action. Let's go! I get dropped off the Pelican, and of course, because it's an open world where you have every choice, there was nothing firing at me, so the music just ended with nothing happening. It was the worst use of Halo music I'd ever seen, and it made me so sad. It felt like it was just there to ring the keys, you know? Oh, you remember this? Oh, look at this. Isn't it so shiny and nice? And it's just, it was so poorly done. I have my problems with Halo Infinite. At least, the only thing I don't have a problem with is the art style. Because the art style of Halo Infinite's actually pretty good. You know, it actually went back to classic art style. The fact that they changed it in Halo 4 and 5 was an absolute travesty. Like, they had to pan over the name of the goddamn ship from the ending of Halo 3 for people to actually be able to recognize what it was, because they changed the art style so much. It was so dumb. So dumb. But yeah, that's why I don't like Halo Infinite for the most part. Also, they ruined Hunters. God damn it, they ruined Hunters. Alright, so Hunters were like the big boss dudes. They were always like special enemies that, or like place, like, they're not the most intense to fight. You can kill them with, like, a well-timed pistol or a sniper shot in the back, but they were always just, like, they were more, like, built up. They were, like, the bosses in the special areas. You know, there was just always, but they were never, like, something, damage sponge. They were meant to, like, spend, like, an actual, like, boss fight amount of time fighting. They were just there to be cool, a cool, different fight. What did Halo Infinite do? They turned it into a bullet sponge fight, where it's basically impossible to get behind them unless you have the correct, like, jetpack upgrade, which, I mean, no one would go into usually, because the other upgrades are just better, in order to actually fire into their weak point. Instead, if you don't have that specific upgrade, you have to spend the entire fight just going through them down, mowing through their bullet sponge shield and the front of the armor. It turns the Hunters from this deadly tightrope dance to just a bullet sponge fight. It was so awful. Oh, it made me so sad. They were like my favorite enemies and they ruined them. But, yeah, I'm getting beyond myself. Let's move on. The Bungie Halo era games, utterly fantastic. The music, the pacing. Also, let me just add an addendum here. With Believe ad camp. Alright, I've never said this before and I never will again. The Believe ad campaign for Halo is an ad campaign I feel like you must watch in order to get the full Halo experience. Because it was the ad campaign for Halo 3. They went all out. It fit the tone of Halo so well, and it was amazing. It brought in these old actors to play the veterans from the war looking back on the events. It was just an experience. Like, it added so much. And now, moving on. Of course, other games I grew up and I really enjoyed was Vanilla WoW, an incredible immersive world I'll never forget. Shame about what Blizzard turned into. God, it's such a shame, because I really love Blizzard. I really love Vanilla WoW, and God, saying they dropped the ball would be an understatement. At least they brought back Classic WoW, but I can't even play that without supporting them, so, yeah. Ugh. But Vanilla WoW will always have a special place in my heart. And of course I played the Hunter. Because I got to use a bow and have a pet. And the fact that you can make any beast a pet. Except for the exotics until, like, Burning Crusade. But still, there were so many options for pet. And I really love the fact just you decided what the pet learned. You would have to like get other beasts out there in order to get all the skills. You had to feed your pet the special food and all that. I really like that because in addition to like the whole world being seamless and big and expansive with large stretches of just, almost nothing, it made the world feel very immersive, And that's one thing that Vanilla WoW did right that no other MMO I feel like has really matched. Also, it had just a very comfy art style, but yeah, the immersiveness of just WoW's world was just... It's very easy to just get lost in it or just like find a cozy spot and just look at it because it was like, it's comfy as hell, man. It's super comfy and oh god, I hope to god another MMO gets made that's like as that accomplishes what Vanilla WoW did, but even like better. I have ideas. I have actually gone and made a MMO document of what my ideal MMO would be, like with specific mechanics and all of this. It's a VR MMO, of course, because the idea was like, how would I create a VR MMO that's, and what would I want in it? Because there's, if you've paid attention to VR games, there's a lot of experimentation going on. There's a lot of like trial and error with different mechanics. So I basically, as a thought experiment, I tried to think of what the ideal VR MMO game would be to me. And I'll probably make a stream out of that at one point, going through it and just kind of like seeing what anyone else may think and all that. But I've gone into detail on that. And, I'm actually, if I had to say, I'm a little proud of myself for my idea. But, yeah, I love that immersiveness of worlds. And I think VR, because VR is all about immersion, has the potential to make an even more immersive MMO and just be a place where people can, like, spend a bunch of time and basically create, like a second life. Anyway. And accomplish, like what anime MMOs do, except without the bullshit mechanics. Still love them, though. Utterly bullshit mechanics, but I still love them. If you've... Shangri-La Frontier is a utterly great anime. If you're fine with seeing, kind of animes playing loose with the rules of video games and, like, what mechanics would actually be viable, Shangri-La Frontier really captures kind of, like, the feeling of just, like, what good games are like and captures the excitement of, like, what VR games, full dive games, could potentially be. So it's just fun to watch it and all that. I won't say it's like the most amazing show. If you're watching it, you're just watching it as a popcorn show to have fun and get lost in the hype and all that. But yeah, I have a soft spot for MMO, like anime, VR MMO animes. Like, what's that one with the little girl that has like the demon shield that no one can touch her and all that? I forget. I watched that one through and all that. I want to see more of that one. She's like, goes all into tank, but becomes the most overpowered one ever. That one's great. Gun Gale Online, the spin-offs of SAO, is also good. And then, of course, I'm all caught up with SAO, alright? It's not the most amazing show, but it's not like garbage tier trash. I enjoy SAO, and I even go for it. I like what it tries to do. I like that it goes beyond just like, here's some people having fun playing, what VR MMO full dive games could be. It goes into like more of like, what could be kind of the repercussions of VR full dive MMO games on like the effect of people and like how they interact with each other type of things. It doesn't go too deep into it, but there are points where it does, and I appreciate that. It does try to be a bit more. Now, to go on in games, I do have a bit of a tactical game streak because I do like them. Fire Emblem. I haven't played the recent ones, but I played the hell out of the first Fire Emblem that recent NA. It was just called Fire Emblem. I believe its full title in Japan was Fire Emblem, like, Blazing Swords, and like, EU, potentially, as well. Yeah, I played that one all the way through. I restarted every mission as soon as I lost someone, and I finished it with everyone alive so I could get their proper endings. It's an amazing tactical game, and I think I think almost everyone who knows of tactical games and loves tactical games knows of this Fire Emblem. And I've heard, mixed things about the new ones. It depends, but I'll probably go back to them eventually. It's just, I don't have, like, a Switch and all that, so it's been tough. Now, as for also tactical games, how could I not mention XCOM 1 and 2? I've played both of these to completion. They're both intensely fun. The modding scenes for them are also really, really good. Especially for 2. There's so much you can do for the modding scene in 2 that just gives you so many more options. But yeah, if you want like a fun tactical game, XCOM is an absolute classic. And there was another one I put. Oh yeah, Final Fantasy Tactics. Now I'll specify Advance. I didn't play the first Tactics. Tactics Advance was the one I played growing up, and I still have it on my phone. I have it emulated. I've put probably more hours into this game than any other like single player game, because I just like going through with my nearly maxed out party at the end game, just fighting these random battles and like slowly advancing my party even further. Now I haven't played it in a while. It's usually when I'm on trips when I'll play this game, but I love the story. It's more. It's not like. I've heard that the first Tactics, Final Fantasy Tactics game, is a lot more, you know, adult and a lot the kingdom and it's not espionage, but you know, it's like drama within the kingdom type of stuff. Whereas Tactics Advance is more on like these people or these kids that were in real life get sucked into a fantasy world. Hey, kind of heard that story before. And so they decide, some of them decide that they like this fantasy world better, some of them don't, and it's about that clash between them and how there's basically no perfect solution. And I honestly really love it. It's not like the most amazing story ever, but, you know, the characters are engaging and all that, and it has a great art style, and the tactics, the way you can customize your characters is ridiculous. If you can get your main character to get like the ninja dual swords, then you've already made him like the most powerful character ever. You do that, you make him like a paladin or like a soldier, and you'll swing out more damage than anyone can handle. The only thing that was ever confusing to me was like the combos and like, not specifically combos themselves, but like combo assists where you can get other people to involve in them. That always seems like a bit finicky. I'm not sure if I saw that on the wiki, but yeah. Anyway, moving on. Digimon World 2. Moving away from tactics. Digimon World 2. I love this game. I love the setting. I love the music. The music is absolutely incredible. I even like the aesthetics of it. I love that it starts like you're in a civilization in the digital world that's like very militaristic, military themed, and you have to choose your faction and all that. And once you choose your faction, you can only like take mons from that type at the start and all that. So it kind of gives you like a very important choice at the start. I love all that about it. I love it all. God, the grind is awful. The grind in this game is absolutely atrocious. I've never once finished the game because I just get to the point where I can't handle the grind anymore. I just stop playing it for a while and then I forget about it. But the intro of Digimon World 2 is something I've gone back to like dozens of times and just replayed that intro, like that first like I'd say like 12 hours or so. And I've played that several times and yeah, it's just super fun. Now, as for also older games, Pokemon, specifically Gen 3, I played 1 when they came out. I played 2, the Gen 2, I played Gen 3, but I've even played some of the newer ones, but Gen 3 has a special place in my heart. It's the one that gives me my favorite Pokemon, which is, of course, Surskit. Surskit's absolutely adorable. I love its design, all that little water spider with like a little hat on it with the water spout. It's the absolute cutest Pokemon. I love it. It's my favorite. And although it's kind of tied with Shelder. Is it Shelder? I'm pretty sure Shelder. I always get confused on that, but yeah. Yeah. Those are my two favorite Pokemon. I might as well just put it here, but yeah. Pokemon Gen 3 has a special place in my heart. It's just, I don't know why, actually, but the fact that you can make, like, your hidden bases, I always like that. I would trade with other people at the time, and we would, like, see each other's hidden bases and, like, fight and all that. That was always good. I always lost because I was a kid that didn't really have the best of teams, but, I always had fun. Let's go. Civilization. I played a ton of this growing up, specifically Civilization 3. I dabbled into 4, and I played a bit more 5 as well. But mostly I played 3 and 5. And that was always a good time. I haven't played it in recently, but because, man, Civilization can absolutely suck your time away if you let it. But, I mean, that's all known. And another game that's very close to my heart is Team Fortress 2. I mentioned this earlier. The Huntsman in this game is one of my favorite, like, weapons in any game, actually, to play. There's nothing as satisfying as getting headshots with it. I may stream this. I'm not one for streaming multiplayer games usually, but because I'm not sure if I'd be able to make it entertaining, like, constantly, because, you know, it's just doing the same thing over and over. But if I were to stream TF2, which I probably would, I'd probably stream it over on my Twitch. You know, Twitch is same name, Wilt. It might be Wilt Took. I'd have to get back to you on that. Actually, let me just take a look real quick. Wilt Took. All right, yeah. Let me just get that name. Let me just link it here. I probably should have put this in the description. But yeah. If I did play any multiplayer games, I played on my Twitch instead. That's because Twitch tends to, like, you know, propel you playing games for, like, many hours at a time better than YouTube. And I feel like the Twitch is kind of just a better platform for just, like, grinding out multiplayer games. I probably won't do it often because I like just doing that on my own time. But I do like doing it, so I'll probably do it, you know, occasionally. The Huntsman is just amazing. Now. God, it's already been over an hour. All right, let me just bump these out. Man, it really does. Time really does fly during the debuts. How do people do these in like half an hour? All right, let me just pump these out. Dark Cloud 2. Utterly fantastic game. I love it. I beat it when I was a kid, or mostly because I got up to like the final boss. But I love this game. Utterly fantastic. It's a bit long. I'm not sure if I'd ever play it on stream because of just it has its own grind, but incredible game. Has the best fishing minigame of any game ever. Now, SSX Tricky. Utterly fantastic soundtrack. I'm not one for sports games, but this one is just, it's so good. It's an SS ranked sports game, all right? It is the absolute king of sports games. EverQuest Champions of Norath. This one was a fun game I played in my childhood a lot, so I have pretty fond memories of this. And then Ratchet and Clank Going Commando. This is my first, and I did play some of the second one, but I didn't really like it so much. But yeah, Ratchet and Clank Going Commando, I really like this one. I finished it several times, so yeah, great game. Zoo Tycoon. Specifically, the first Zoo Tycoon. I did play others, but, well, actually, did I? I might have. But anyway, I've played this game an absolute ton, just making the perfect zoo. I, of course, cheated. I gave myself infinite money because I just wanted to create the zoo I loved most of all. But yeah, I love Zoo Tycoon, the first one. It's just a pain to play nowadays because it's never been ported properly, so you have to do it, like, in the compatibility mode, usually, and that can fuck with some things, so I'm not sure how easy that would be to stream, but yeah, we can try. Paper Mario, 1000 year. I think it's usually done like this. Why is it 2 T's? 1000? I guess 1000. No, wait. Why is it usually 2 T's in this? It's just one, right? 1000 Year Door. What's my favorite music genre? Oh man, I guess. I tend to cherry pick my music a lot. Like, a lot. I almost never pay attention to, like, the artist or the album at all. And a lot of my taste was designed by just when I was in the passenger seat of my dad's car, and he would play, like, a lot of older music. If I had to I like a lot of older rock and roll. I like, you know, some, you know, modern, like, pop music and all that. I do like AC/DC, all right. I can name them as, like, a band that I've liked a lot of songs of, but I don't see that's a surprise. They're pretty fucking, like, popular and famous. Like, yeah. I don't think that's like saying, I like vanilla ice cream. Yeah, okay. Yeah, AC/DC, Beach Boys. My dad really loved Beach Boys growing up, and that kind of rubbed off on me. I like some of their stuff. Not everything, but at least Good Vibration, at least, you know, all that. Let's see. It's hard to say what my taste is. Let me just go to my YouTube real quick. And I'll name you some songs off of there. Let's see. All right. I do have an admission. I do listen to some Katy Perry songs. Going for Beethoven? I do like classical music, and I will listen to that to help me work, and it does help. I do like, but it's just not all the time. I don't tend to listen to music like just like relaxing around because I'm usually like watching streams or watching anime or or watching YouTube videos. So I don't really have the time to just listen to music on its own. And but oh yeah, a lot of Freeren's music. Freeren's music, Evan Call did an absolutely phenomenal job. I loved his stuff. Like, and I guess that's kind of in the. It's kind of Celtic. It's kind of fantastical, but it has classical elements to it. I guess you could say. But yeah. Let's see. AC/DC, Adele, yeah. Tobu Candyland. I mean, that one's great. I'm just kind of going through my list right now. Santiano, Johnny Boy is great. A lot of anime music, of course. Avicii, of course. Halo's music is great. Move Along, All American Rejects. It's very much a mix. Oh yeah, Towards Her Light is an Arknights EP that's utterly fantastic. It's if I played it, they might get a little mad at me, but yeah, if you haven't heard the Arknights EP Towards Her Light, it's a very Celtic, it's very upbeat, it's absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love that song. Of course, there's also some VTuber music, but it's kind of just, it's a little lost in the pile right now. Yeah, it's hard to say exactly what I like, but it's very much a mix. I guess that's the best I can say. All right. Back to games. Let's go through this. I'm leaving it at 1T. I have no idea why people have it as 2 T's and the usual abbreviation for 1,000-year door. Oh, because of the. Do you normally abbreviate the in titles? I feel like you don't, right? Whatever. Anyway. Phantom Abyss. This one's a bit of a small game. It's a game where you go through, you're like the all right, if you know of Indiana Jones and all that, and the Ruin Explorers, Lara Croft, this is kind of one of those games where you have to go through ruins, and it's very fast movement, and it kind of takes some inspiration from Legends of the Hidden Temple, if you know, like that old like Nickelodeon show. But yeah, you're basically just trying to get to the end of this deadly maze with your quick movements, and you're kind of timed as well. This one's a guilty pleasure. Let me just put that right here. Because the devs have not supported it well at all. They completed it, that's about all anyone can say, but it's very poorly made. It was arguably better in its beta period before they made the changes, like its main game mode, but I still went through, I completed the story and all that because it's a very fun game to play. Like, its movement feels fantastic, and yeah, strangely, I don't know if I just got addicted to it at the time. I even did like a couple of like the daily speedrun like tests as well. Which is something I normally never do, but yeah, that game was fun. Portal, of course. I don't think anyone's surprised at this. 1 and 2. I feel like I don't even have to say that, but yeah. And then Half-Life Alyx. I have not played the other Half-Life games. I know. I should. I feel like I've seen them so much, but I should go back and play them. Maybe that can be a stream. But I played Half-Life Alyx because, it was a VR game, and I was very into VR. I loved it. It was a great game. The way it used VR is amazing. It's when I do interact with my family in, let's say, a strange way, magic works in strange ways, but I give them a little window into my reality. Whenever I show them VR, I show them Half-Life Alyx, because it's always what blows them away. It's incredible. It's the VR game, essentially. And it makes me sad, because I feel like VR's kind of been on the decline since. It feels like AI is kind of taking over the new technology spotlight, but I have faith eventually VR will have its time in the limelight again. But that might be a while, which makes me a little sad. But anyway, that's my those are like my key games that I grew up with that I loved growing up. Now, mess with things. Now, let's go into the actual, plan for this channel. Now that you've grown to know me over this past, hour and 10 minutes. Alright. There we go, and we'll just do. Let's just take that down a notch. But I'll plan a stream on this channel, all right? You're here to watch a streamer, not just someone yap for just like one time and then move on, right? So, I'm not going to be good at just doing YouTube videos. YouTube live streams, sure, but I don't know about YouTube videos. That'll maybe be something that may not be the best idea, but I'm not good with YouTube videos. I don't know about that. I don't know what to do, so yeah, that's a maybe. But overall plan for content and specifically what I stream, I have an idea. I do have some thoughts. I did think some of this out in like the years planning this and just working on this. Once per month, I read a completed short story I wrote that month. Talk about it. Then brainstorm with chat what the next story should be. Brainstorm. Storm. Alright. There we go. Because I guess I should have done my goals first, huh? But anyway. I do like stories, and I do want to write stories of my own as well. So I plan to make this channel as part of the reason I made this channel, both to interact with people, but it was also to give me kind of a push in order to actually make my own stories, in order to write, in order to give me some like obligation like to people who would actually care, as well as like maybe develop a platform where people can give me feedback on like what sucked, what's good. And I mean, yeah, better than just kind of writing a story and then throwing it into the ether of the internet with like no one knows who you are. I do know of like places where you can go and you can probably get some like feedback, but I kind of just wanted this channel to be it. I feel like, kill two birds with one stone. I stream, I build up myself, and I also make stories and get some feedback. Oh, hey, Sprockets. Welcome to the stream. I just spent like an hour going over my favorite, let's see, games, anime, and all that. So I'm going to be honest, you haven't missed much but me yapping way more. I should also missed books as well. But we're now just kind of getting to the meat of it, all right? So you got here just in time for the meat of it, and for me to realize I'm a bit more of a yapper than I thought I was. But yeah, once per month, I plan to both write a short story. I won't write it on stream. I feel like that's just not good content. Also, I feel like I would have trouble writing on stream. That's the bigger reason. I'm not sure if I'd be able to write it and actually stream at the same time in the way that's engaging. Like, I feel like I'd be too distracted. Favorite author and book series. All right. So, author. You don't know this, but I'll tell you right now, I'm absolutely terrible at names. I can barely remember my own parents' names at times. But as for book series, I read most of my books when I was growing up. I feel like the book series that has the closest place in my heart would be the Ranger's Apprentice series. The Ranger's Apprentice series kind of developed a lot of my love for basically, the ranger aesthetics, being outdoors, bows and arrows. If I'm ever playing a game and there's like an opportunity to play an archer or use a bow and arrow, that's going to be what I main. And it's almost entirely due to that series, as well as partially just how fun it was in TF2. But yeah, the Ranger's Apprentice series was just a personal gem of mine. As for recent books I've read, the most recent one I've read would be Empire of Silence. Once again, I do not know the name, but you can look it up. That one's actually... And it's very Dune-inspired, heavily Dune-inspired, and it's not like the most novel book, but in terms of like, its creativity, but I enjoyed it. It came at a point in my life where I just kind of needed it, and had some really good characters. I also read Animorphs growing up. Those were a big part. And of course, because I'm a VTuber, I've read books. Warrior Cats, I read that series up to the point where they left, they changed locations to like the area around the lake. I read up to that point probably dozens of times growing up. So, yeah. Yeah, also for classical book, Three Musketeers. All right, there's a brief recap of like the major books. Now, I've read a lot of individual books, but those are harder to remember as opposed to like series titles and all that. I do have a bookshelf in my room. It's not the biggest. I won't say I've read the most books. There are probably plenty of other VTubers who have read more than me, but all the same, I really do love stories and books. I just kind of got lost in life when I jumped into the world of stories. Kind of just got swept along, and I just lost time for everything. So this is kind of me just taking it back. Yeah. And so, yeah, back on my plan to stream. Once per month, I plan to write my own short story because I want to get into writing. I want to become a better writer because I've written already some, but it's not the best. And I do have some ideas, but I want to get better. And I feel like doing it with chat, at least like getting your feedback would be good, as well as brainstorming. I won't write on stream, but I figured you guys would be interested to hear and maybe give feedback. Yeah, that could be a fun stream. And next, once per week. I kind of broke it down. Kind of broke it down into once per month, once per week thing, and that kind of helped me like figure out like what streams I could do. Once per week, I'll go over like anime episodes roundup. I'm not going to be an anime-tuber, but all the same, I do love anime. It has a lot of stories that I just love to watch. I keep up with a lot of seasonal anime usually. Not like all of them, but, you know, a good few. And so I would actually like talking to people about them and like what happened in the episodes that week. And maybe like an end of season roundup as well, potentially. But once per week, maybe a stream just talking about anime and kind of just like gushing about what I liked, what I didn't, and just what you thought might happen next and all that. And then for the kind of the rest of the streams, I'll be doing more single player games, whatever catches my fancy. Part of the reason I'm doing this is also to give me more reason to play these single player games, because I always struggled with like feeling and like what I should do, and like nothing is, you know, right, nothing is propelling me for everything I do is basically the wrong thing to do, so I can't do anything that like is just for me, for fun and all that. I kind of got lost in that for a while, so I have a lot of backlog of single player games, and I figured I can do that for stream as well, you know. Probably some of that's going to be like stuff like Nier, or maybe Elden Ring, and there's also stuff like Cuphead as well. It doesn't have to be story focused. They don't have to be too story focused, but I do appreciate games that are more on that story end of thing. And I might do a stream just going over the Bungie era Halo games again, even though I've played them already dozens of times, because God, the Bungie era Halo games are so good. I just love them. Mr. Maybe karaoke streams, Mr. Singer? I mean, are people interested in that? Because, I mean, this might just be me thing. I'm not, like, a professional singer. I've taken, all right, a bit of lore. I've taken karaoke classes. Yeah. I took choir in class a long time ago. So I do know how to hold a note. I won't say I'm the best, and I do enjoy singing. You know, it's fun. It can be really fun. And if people are interested, maybe once in a while I'll do like a special karaoke stream on like Twitch or something, but that's a maybe thing. So I'll put it over there. Maybe special once in... hang on, let me just keep this as... Let me keep this... what do you call it? This format I got going on. Once per blue moon. There we go. Maybe karaoke? Question mark? Yeah, might as well put that on there. If people want it, sure. But it's nothing, like my singing's nothing special. It'd just be for fun entirely. Now, I guess this is all for fun, but you know, it's nothing like to write home about. And I feel like maybe this is just me. I'm always more interested in like female VTuber karaoke versus like male VTuber. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but especially like I don't have any things. Let's move on. As for any other games, maybe as for multiplayer games specifically, maybe TF2 or Deadlock. And they would be on Twitch. I linked it in the chat earlier. But, yeah. I don't want to do too many multiplayer games. They would be... Nah, let me just... Not too often. There we go. Because I feel like it's hard to make them enjoyable for, like, streaming content. It's not like I'm so good at them, like, it has the same problem as karaoke. I'm not so good at them, like, it's entertaining to see me, like, wow, he's so good, look at him go. And I'm not, like, so bad, it's just like, haha, wow, he's so bad, look at him fail. So, and it's harder to make it, like, entertaining. Like, I can't promise I'll be able to keep up the sapping while playing games. Like, I'm surprised I can do it right now. So, but I do really like TF2, and I've surprisingly got addicted to Deadlock. So maybe. I'm not writing it out. But if I did, they'd probably be on Twitch, and they'd be more of like a guerrilla streams. Build up that confidence first, do what's comfortable? Yeah. That's kind of the idea behind it. I don't want to promise the world, because I want to try and manage expectations. Because I feel like what somebody's expectations are determines like how much enjoyment they get out of the experience in general, right? And someone is set up to have large expectations, and they don't live up to that, they're going to be disappointed, even if the end result is somewhat good. So I want to try and set accurate expectations. I don't want to like dog on myself like, oh my god, I'm so awful. But I don't want to like set people up for disappointment either. So, and this is kind of this whole thing, this whole me bringing my story out to you guys and all this, it's kind of like uncharted ground for me. So we'll see. So far, not too bad. I've tested the waters a bit, so I can say that I don't hate it, but still figuring stuff out. As you can probably see by that intro. Oh man. Oh yeah, and specifically by my like Twitter feed. I have no idea how to do like Twitter. I almost never talk otherwise. I'm usually consumer, so just like networking and like just finding out what to say on Twitter, I have no idea. So yeah, that'll be always a fun little adventure per day trying to figure that out. Anyway, that's the overall plan to stream. Now if we want to move on to actual like goals, which I should have done first. Oh. Did I do the wrong thing? Yep, wrong thing. There we go. Overall goals. First goal is, of course, the biggest reason for me doing this. Get over my own personal flaws. To specifically be more comfortable with putting myself in the limelight. I've always had trouble with this. Basically pulling the spotlight to be on myself, even if it's like simple stuff like just speaking out in front of like a crowd and all that. I've always preferred to just be one with the crowd and just kind of go along, but I understand that that's a character flaw, and I need to, if I want to try to find my own happiness in life, I guess, I kind of need to kind of put myself out there more. I've never had a problem with acting once the limelight has been like put on me by something else, or if it's kind of forced on me, because it was always more of the act of just, if I'm putting it on myself, I feel that I have a greater responsibility to make sure it's actually worth people's time and attention, which is what probably led to me spending years just like working on all this presentation beforehand before I ever even got to this point, which is, all right, it's a terrible idea. No one should follow my example. Just start out small and then build yourself up. Don't try and go through this mega project of just like, wow, this stream is so immersive. Look at this. Yeah. This, don't do what I did. Just start out small. Yeah, I plan to stream just to help get over this at the very least. Oh, did I freeze? Oh shit, yeah, I froze. Why? Why did I freeze? Hang on, let me just try this. Try to reset that. No. Bad. Huh. Yeah, that is a hard freeze. Okay, 1 second. I'll just need to. Whoop. me just figure this out. That is curious. Alright, let me just bunk it with some magic stick. Quill. Alright. Yep. Quill, you're not helping. Alright. Let me just... Yep. Alright. Alright, that's... I mean, almost... Ooh. Huh. Well. Not even a full restart, huh? Let's try different types of tracking. This will surely not have any... Okay, probably it's just the actual, like, fully... Like, the magic involved at a lower level. Potentially the camera magic. Okay, well. That's good to know. I'll have to look into that. Yeah, stuck in my own pages. The glue is a bit, still... Yeah, it's still a bit wet. It was still drying. Looks like it froze my face a bit. Alright, so I'll just put myself back up here. The glue got onto my face a little. Don't worry about it. I'll just make the rest of this real quick then. Because it looks like this would take an actual, like, deep cleaning of the magic to actually fix this. I'll promise I'll figure this out later. Let me just go over my goals real quick. Of course, this happens as I'm actually getting to, like, the more important stuff. I can't exactly blame it, though. I do have a lot of, like, working here. I did say there would be scuff. You were warned. Now. There we go. As for other goals, of course, play through single. This is a smaller goal, but it's still here. I had a hard time justifying to myself. These are like the small, reasonable goals I feel like I can actually accomplish. You gotta have small, reasonable goals. Because if you make your goals too large at the start and you don't have these small, reasonable goals, it's easy to get discouraged, right? Right. Why is it having trouble with single player? Anyway. Next goal. Get better at writing while writing a short story per month. Yeah, writing a short story per month, get better at it. Yeah, that's a pretty reasonable goal. And, of course, have fun. If I'm not having fun, you guys aren't having fun, and there's not going to be much of a point to this, right? So I gotta have fun. These are all the small goals. But I do have... let's call them the unreasonable goals. These are the pie-in-the-sky goals. They're just like the, hey, you know, the dream type of stuff. I won't make it about, like, size of the channel, but, well, let's do, like, let's start with the most reasonable. The most reasonable one. Reasonable, unreasonable. Let's start with this one first. Write a book. I'm not sure when this will be, when I'll feel like I've actually gone to the point where I'm good enough to actually commit to writing a book, but I do want to write a book at some point, and hopefully it'll be something that you guys, at this point, after all, like the feedback and, you know, the others, short stories, you guys will enjoy as well. I do have some ideas, but those will probably be saved for the short stories first. And now probably the most reasonable one, right? A book so good, it's an adaptation. We all need those pie in the sky goals, right? Write a book so good it gets successful even among outside my audience at this point, I guess I would have. And it's so good it gets an adaptation. I don't just want to write a book. I want to write good books. I want to write good stories. I want to write books so good that, you know, it's, of course, really popular, and it's so good it gets an adaptation. right? You gotta dream big if you're actually putting your stuff out there. And, let's see. Let's get to, like, I guess he wants to write the book. That's right. The book. The book everyone knows. Yeah. Yeah, they're unreasonable goals for a reason, but still, it's good to have. And then, let's see. I'm not sure if you'd call this unreasonable, but, like, let's introduce let me put this right here because it's still slightly reasonable. You know, it's still in the realm of reasonable, unreasonable. And I guess we gotta have one like this. Become a 3 view. Because, you know, if I want to stream to people, it'd be nice to have... Become a 3 view, at least. I could put bigger, but at that point it feels just a bit... I would feel like that would be a bit arrogant to put it bigger than that. So, but like a 3 view, for those who don't know, it's like 3 digits, so it's at least 100 concurrent viewers like at a time. I think that's ridiculously big, especially for like just like an indie VTuber who's like just getting a start. If I got that and they were all interested in just like these streams and my stories and all that, I would be intensely happy. And yeah, these are like the big goals for me, I'd say. The Write the Book So Good It Gets an Adaptation is my pie in the sky book. You're him for sure. I believe in you, Will. Thank you. Thank you. Now, those are the goals, which I should have done first. And let's go on to my stream schedule. I gotta... Because I'm still, you know, my mouth is frozen with the glue, so, you know. I gotta figure out how to fix that before it becomes permanently stuck. And also because I've just gone way over time. I say overtime as if, like, I had, like, a time to begin with, but, hey, you know, for your time's sake. Stream schedule. Tonight was a debut. I thought about doing some other stuff at first, like, maybe an after Twitch, like, Gorilla of, like, TF2 or something, but honestly, I've yapped a lot more than I thought. It's been nearly 2 hours. My throat is getting surprisingly dry. I should probably drink some water. That was Coke, but it's water enough. And, yeah, so I'll probably just call it there for tonight. I'd say this is a pretty good step forward. And also I want to try and figure out what that glue issue is. And let's see. And now, tomorrow, because I do plan to stream tomorrow at 8:30. Hang on, let me just change this so I don't have 2 colons. That just doesn't look right. Yeah. This might just be writer autism, but hey. 8:30 p.m. tomorrow. PST, I should say. 8:30 p.m. PST. That will be the first short story brainstorm session. Strom. And we might do more games after that. That depends on like how that goes. If I yap to endless anymore, or how long it takes me to think of like good stories. But yeah, I'll probably stream these kind of later sessions because there's stuff I want to like. I mean, I'm still in the realm of stories. I wouldn't be here if I didn't at least like it somewhat. Like, there's stuff I want to catch up with, and other stuff I want to like watch at that time. So that's kind of like the time for me. And that'll probably be a more consistent time going forward. Although things in the realm of the stories are a bit weird, and time can get a bit funky. So you know, I'll keep you posted on if this changes. But for the most part, I think 8:30 should be fine. Now, Wednesday. Wednesday is the day before Thanksgiving. So, I'll probably just do a single-player game. I'll have that time. This might be... It's the day before Thanksgiving, so things might be a bit iffy that day as well. It depends on how things go. Things get a little hectic around that time. But, yeah, I think I could do some single-player games. I'll let you decide day of what I decide on. I just have it a single-player game for now, but that'll be the plan. Now, Friday. Also at 8:30 p.m. PST. I'm not sure if I should keep writing PST, but I will. Another single-player game. That'll be the plan for there. And I keep saying this, but Friday is also kind of... This week's kind of a bit special for me. You know, it's a holiday week. Arguable how smart of idea was to debut during this week, but hey, I wanted to get to it once I had everything ready sooner rather than keep coming up with excuses. So, I even wrote this one down, so this one is definitely potentially iffy day. Probably, but maybe not. Play by ear. And then a Sunday, 6 p.m., a little earlier on Sunday. Anime episodes of the week roundup. Wait, hang on. No, wait, I got other things going. Hang on, alright, this is gonna be a little later then. Sorry. Once again, I'm just gonna make this an 8:30 because I just remembered there are other commitments on Sunday. Excuse me, I can't forget about. So yeah, these will all be 8:30 p.m.s and all that, but I'll talk about anime episodes on Sunday and all that, and you know, that'll be more consistent. Short story brainstorming session, that'll be the first of this month, and I'll try and that'll be the brainstorming session for the month of December. I won't, like, alright, I can't write stories that quickly. I struggle doing it enough in a month, or even a week, so a week's a bit impossible. So yeah, that'll be the brainstorming session for the month of December. So we'll probably make it, Christmas themed. It'll probably be a Christmas themed story, you know. That's always a fun time. Always like, it's a bit me, but I always like when things are a bit cheesy and happy. And I do appreciate, like, you know, the darker tones as long as it has kind of that soul of something happier and like that hope and like that things will be all right in the end. That's me. I appreciate all kinds of stories, but I do like that. Oh, your EST? Oh, I'm sorry, man. Oh, well, thank you for... it must be close to the time you'd be sleeping right now anyway, so I thank you for this, but... Yeah, there might be earlier times in the future. For this week, though, that's probably the best times for me, unfortunately. I'll look into doing things a bit... Thanks for the stream today? Yeah, no worries. Thank you for sticking around. I'll see about if I can do some earlier streams. Next week. Yeah, if you're around next week, it'll probably be around the same times because that's just how it goes. I tend to only be available later on into the evening like this. Sunday, I could potentially do it earlier, but I'll just keep it at 8:30 for now because probably that's when, but yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I tend to be a late sleeper, too. Mr. Shampoo. I'm glad we're keeping that. Yeah, we'll keep that going. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll keep you updated on if the schedules change and all that, and let me just change this to a more comfy page. How about? Now, it's a bit of a shame that things couldn't get changed. That things broke a little bit right now. Yeah. Let me just get this back here. Don't want to forget the chapter title. So, but I'd like to thank you all for coming in. Stopping by and giving me a chance. Make your own schedule, yeah. Well, I hope to see you around in the future. Even if you don't show up, I'll remember at least you were here for my debut, Mr. Shampoo, and I'll be thankful to you for that. So, you know, I just wanted to say thank you all for coming in, and that it really does mean a lot to me. And I yapped way more than I thought, and so, you know, yeah. Frozen? What the fuck was that? Quill, you fucking suck at the writing. How are you a Quill and you suck this much at writing? Jesus. Alright. Alright, it's deleting. It's getting. Alright. Oh, now you're crying. Alright, now you're crying, huh? You're crying because I was mean to you. Alright. Oh, shut it. Alright. I'm shutting you up for now. Alright. Well, thank you all for coming. And I'd like to thank you for all being here for my 2-hour debut. That went on for far too long. I am hungry as hell. I need to get some food into me, and it's time for me to return to the world of stories. So, thank you all, and this will be the end of Chapter 1. Have a good night.